Schwartz here from the Everything Saxophone podcast. We're live at NAMM 2022. We're at the Legere booth. Legere is sponsoring this podcast, and I'm here with Jason Whitmore. I've had him on the podcast before, and I'm so glad he just happened to walk in today. We were talking about you yesterday. We're like, I wonder if Jason's going to stop by, and I said, well, you know what? He lives in San Diego. I bet you he's gonna, and you just walked down. So glad to see you.
Perfect timing. Yeah, good seeing you again, Donna. Yeah, I can't stay away. I mean, this is so close, and it's like such a great opportunity to like run into old friends and like see people and like talk to the companies and my sponsors. And yeah, it's like I'm a kid in a candy store here, so I'm glad to be here.
No, absolutely, me too. And you know what? This leads me to an interesting question. So you as an artist, you do so many things. You play national anthems at places. You perform with DJs. You do tons of private parties. You play with bands. You as the artist coming into NAMM, how do you see your role?
Well, I mean, I guess selfishly, you know, it's a great opportunity for me to, you know, look at all the gear, you know, see what is new and what's out there, try out products that I wouldn't normally necessarily have access to. The Cannonball's got a new baritone sax over there that I'm dying to check out, so I'm probably going to steal a reed from these guys and a mouthpiece from Theo and go try one out. But honestly, like I think my favorite part about it is just the people. Like I love like running into people that I see on social media all the time, the people that I network, and like, you know, getting to like share the face with the name and shake hands and hug, and you know, and it's really all about the people for me.
And for sure, and we haven't been here in 2.5 years, and you know, we've all been saying this too. I mean, NAMM is a little bit toned down this year. It's a little bit less, but it's still a lot of fun. But it's just nice to see people again. And I'm just curious, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How have you done during the pandemic?
Surprisingly well. I mean, clearly, you know, when it first happened, everything was a dead stop, and you know, we were all trying to figure out how to make music digitally and how to share it digitally and how to, you know, do performances and concerts digitally, you know, and it lacked a lot of the warmth of the interaction, of course. But to be honest, I've considered myself really lucky. It wasn't long, you know, into 2020 or so that things really started to open up. And I think there was just so much pent-up demand that I was able to get a lot of work. And, you know, I started playing a lot in 2020, and now I'm busier than ever. So, yeah, I'm very, very grateful, you know, and I think it's that if nothing else, the pandemic really, you know, taught me to be grateful for what I have, and now I'm busy, and I'm more grateful than ever. So, yes, thankful.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, since we're at NAMM, let's talk about equipment. So you do use Legere Reeds. Can you talk about the ones that you use and the you know, the strengths that you use?
Yeah, so you know, I've been with Legere for a few years now. I was with them for at least 1.5 years or so, or I was using Legere Reeds way before I ever had any sort of endorsement. So I would gladly spend the money, order the reeds, and pay for them myself, and absolutely, totally love them, truly. I started out using the signature reeds, which are still amazing reeds, and then I helped develop the prototypes that became now the American cut, which I'm a huge fan of. I mean, you put them on, they play automatically, just right out of the box, no warm-up, and I love how instantaneously perfect they are. So I'm a big fan of the American cut. 2.5 is what I use on both my horns, yeah.
Let me ask you something. When it comes to, you know, like using your reeds and stuff, the Legere reeds in particular, do you rotate your reeds, or do you play it until it's dead?
I try to rotate when I think about it. Sometimes I'm not so good at remembering, and I just put the same one on, and you know, until I blow it out. But no, I usually keep a box of like 4 reeds going, and I try to like rotate them so that I'm told that helps them last longer, and I think it does. But yeah, I usually keep about 4 going at a time and try to just rotate them out.
How long do you get out of them? I'm just curious myself.
You know, it really depends on how much I'm working, how hard I'm playing. You know, every gig is really different. You know, sometimes you know, it's really mellow and background stuff. Sometimes I'm just blowing my head off and I'm in the altissimo range all night long. But I mean, I guess on average, like a reed if I used it just consistently without rotating it, like a single reed would easily last me a month or 2 even. and I play hard. I'd say I probably play harder on them than most. And then when I rotate them out, then of course, they last a lot longer.
Yeah, and for sure. And well, you're in San Diego. I don't know if you're more inland or towards the coast. Where inland, it's hot. Just like where I'm, it's really hot, and towards the coast you have more humidity and stuff like that. That could also play a factor in a certain respect. Although the reeds, they don't get affected by like humidity and mold and that kind of thing. But let me also talk about some other equipment as well. You use TheoWanne mouthpieces as well, right?
Yeah. TheoWanne. I've loved their mouthpieces for years now. Yeah. I play the Durga, and I've used the Durga 3, the Durga 4, and now I'm on the 5. And absolutely love it. The 5 was probably the most, even though they're all really the same style of mouthpiece, the same sort of sound approach and everything. So I'm not changing my sound a lot. But the 5 had a slightly smaller chamber, so it added just a tiny bit of resistance and just a little more pop, a little more projection. So it's still in line with like my sound profile that I've always gone for. But I love it. Love it. And I'll be honest, like I've tried other mouthpieces. I try to like be aware of what's out there, and like nothing touches it. It's absolutely my weapon of choice.
And what tip, you play alto predominantly? What tip opening?
I play on a 7, like just moderate, average size tip. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so glad you told us about the differences between the Durga 4 and the Durga 5, because that was going to be my next question with regard to that. And so it's a little bit smaller on the inside, so that little extra resistance, if you push it, you could really, really just get more power out of it.
Yeah, it adds a little bit to the edge and the brightness when you're pushing really hard. It's a subtle difference, but it's definitely. It's noticeable. And the Durga 4 is still an amazing mouthpiece too. I still have it, and all of his mouthpieces are just amazing. So yeah.
It's also good to have a backup too, just in case, because you never know.
Sure. Yeah.
Horn? What kind of horn do you use?
So I'm on Cannonball. I recently switched from Selmer to Cannonball about a little over a year ago. And I just, I've always, especially coming here, I've tried all the instruments and stuff, and I've always tried Cannonballs. Always loved how they play. I mean, it's a significant difference in terms of like how free blowing it is and how much projection I get out of it, especially with their fat neck like that. The Big Bell series comes with 2 necks, and you put that fat neck on it. It's the one with the underslung octave key, and it is literally like a noticeable, like significant difference. It's a big fat sound, and it's amazing. And so I was just over there, and I was talking to Ryan, and I've been playing my Cannonball big bell horn for about a year now, and I was recently at the sax.co.uk store in London. Yeah, amazing. That was such a great trip, and like a really, really cool store. And so that was the closest thing I've had to NAMM since NAMM 2020. And I'm playing on a bunch of horns and just like hanging out and geeking out on the instruments. And it was the first time I really tried a lot of other saxophones other than the Cannonball I've been playing for the last year. And I was like so surprised at how like stuffy and constricted everything else felt compared to my horn. Like it is really a night and day difference. I mean, to a saxophone player, like I've tried a lot of horns, and sometimes the differences are somewhat subtle, and you're like, that's a good horn, and and like this is also a good horn, but like it's really that big of a difference. And so I just love that, like it's like the projection it has, like how much more difference it is than anything else. How much more free blowing it is. It suits my style of playing, and yeah, I absolutely love Cannonball.
That's great. That's good to know. I wasn't even aware. I know of Cannonball. I actually, I also play trumpet, but I have your typical Bach Stradivarius. I also have a Cannonball as well too. And yeah, when thinking about it, like that horn is a little bit more free blowing for sure. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's amazing, and yeah, I'm just in love with the horn, and I can't wait to like start filling out my collection. I'm eyeballing this berry over there that I've been dying to have. So yeah, I'll probably go try one out later.
Awesome. Well, now I'm going to ask a non-saxophone question, because this is me being selfish. When you play a lot with DJs and stuff, do you use in-ear monitors? And can you talk about that?
I do sometimes. I got some in-ear setups with JH Audio is what I use, and they're great. They sound amazing. Going from not using anything at all to using those is a life changer, especially if you're in like a really loud like nightclub environment and it's loud. It protects your ears because it really like seals out all the ambient sound and allows you to control the volume you're listening to. So like instead of just like this banging sound into your ear, you have a nice comfortable level, which also means you can hear more clarity, and it just makes listening a lot more comfortable and easier and more accurate. And when you can hear better, you can play better, without a doubt. So I highly recommend them. Now, I'll admit, I don't use them all the time. Some gigs I play are not super, super loud, so it's just unnecessary, and it's a lot of extra gear to take. So sometimes if I'm traveling and it's not a super loud gig, I'll bring my really small wireless setup. I use Cloud Vocal.
Is that new for you?
I've used them for a couple of years now. Actually, I got hooked up with them the last NAMM show in 2020. So I've been using them ever since, and it's terrific, especially for traveling, because it's just so compact. It does everything. It's a receiver, an EQ, and an FX unit, all in one tiny little thing that like fits in my carry-on or fits in my suitcase. I don't have to bring a big rack mount system that had my wireless, my in-ears, my effects unit, like I used to travel with. So it's just more convenient, and it's great sounding mic too. So more often than not, I'll use that, but it's more of a convenience sake. I'll admit, going back to the in-ear monitors, like if I have the opportunity to use them, and especially if I need to, they are a life changer, and I highly recommend it.
And with the in-ear monitor, you talk about other gear that you need. So do you have like a personal mixer or something like that as well?
Usually when I'm playing with a DJ, I'm getting, if it's just me and the DJ, I'm getting the DJ's signal into my in-ear monitors. So all I'm hearing is him, which is really all I need to hear. I can hear myself just through my own natural sound, but I need to hear like the track clearly. And so that's what I'm listening to in that sort of environment. If I'm so lucky to be on a stage with a dedicated monitor sound engineer and an individual mix, then that's the best case scenario. Then I can really dictate like what instruments I'm hearing. If it's a little bit of me, it's a little bit of the drums, a little bit of the bass or whatever. That's the best case scenario. But honestly, in my line of work, working with DJs, like I'm my own sound guy. So it's just the in-ear receiver or transmitter, I should say, that plugs into the DJ mixer. So I have to set all that up and like balance it out and like get it ready before I play.
Listen, this is so helpful because the reason why I'm asking, not only for my own selfish needs, but I also have people asking me this as well. So I don't use in-ear monitors, but this is something I'm going to be definitely looking into for sure because, it's so important. People don't realize when you're playing gigs, sometimes the rhythm section is so loud you can't hear yourself, and I don't want my hearing destroyed,
Yeah, it's going to help your hearing, and it's going to help your playing immensely, and you don't even realize it. Like people that aren't even necessarily like big instrumentalists, like just friends that would see me play, DJs that I would play with, they noticed. They were like, man, you really sound different. Like you sound like a lot different because I can hear better, and which means I can play better. And it's a world of change, definitely. So I recommend it. It's a little bit of investment. Good in-ears are, if you get them customized, it could be $800 over $1,000 easily, but they're well worth it. And then I use them all the time when I'm working out. I put them in to listen to, Spotify on my phone, or if I'm on an airplane and there's like a noisy baby, you like put them in there, you don't hear anything.
So you're saying you're using them as earbuds too?
All the time. Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome. That's good to know. Cool. Well, listen, so we covered a lot of the gear. What's coming up for you, in these next few months in 2022?
Man, just, like I said, I'm really fortunate to be busy. So, I have a couple of residencies where you can catch me in San Diego, where I live. I have a weekly brunch gig downtown. I have a monthly gig at my favorite club, Syrah, in San Diego. And then I'm traveling, all the time. Pretty much every month I'm off doing private events, gigs, weddings sometimes. So yeah, I just busy playing and grateful to be doing it.
No, it's awesome. And you know what? I have one more question, because Jason also plays a lot of national anthems, for major leagues, not just baseball, but, like basketball, hockey, that kind of thing. Let me ask you a question. Sometimes when you're in an arena, the echo is so bad. Are you using any kind of in-ears? How do you deal with that?
That's a good question. Well, so far, every time I've done a national anthem performance, I chose to play a cappella. So it's just me, and so the reverb in the hall doesn't affect me so much, because I'm not trying to keep time or listen to play along with a track or anything like that. So in that case, it hasn't been an issue for me. I don't use in-ears. I just play and just trust that what I'm doing. But I've contemplated maybe like putting a track together, or maybe working with a keyboard friend to do like kind of a unique arrangement with a backing track. Absolutely, if I do that, then you're going to need in-ears to really be able to block that ambient sound out, so you can stay in time and everything.
I can imagine, though, in the beginning when you first did this, even a cappella, just getting used to that reverb must have been something.
The reverb, and honestly, just the pressure. I'd say that overshadowed everything. And it never gets old. Like you walk out into a stadium and there's 10, 15,000 people. Like in Staples Center or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of pressure. And all those people dead silent, and you got to play a song that everybody knows. And if you even squeak on a single note, it's the death of you. So there's a little bit of pressure. Yeah, I'd say that overshadows anything else. But yeah, they're a lot of fun.
No, but you play it amazing, and I've seen all the YouTube videos and stuff like that, and you're just an amazing player. I've heard you so many times here as well, and at jams and stuff. So I'm so glad that we caught you, and I'm so glad that you've taken the time to be with us here.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good seeing you again, and yeah, this is what I'm all about. It's I love running into people, and yeah, good time. Happy NAMM.
Happy NAMM. That's a great way to end this. Awesome.